Hello YouTube and welcome to the FS Mania channel. Today we are at Lima Sierra Zulu Sierra, otherwise known as Samedan Airport, if I pronounce that correctly. This is one of many free airports that are made available by Orbix. Samedan is a small regional Swiss airport in the Engadin Valley, if I pronounce that right, near the Swiss-Italian border. At an elevation of 5,600 feet, Samedan Airport is one of the highest in Europe, second only to Courchevel in the French Alps, which coincidentally is where we are flying to on this early morning in September. Samedan Airport is considered to be one of the most challenging airports in the world due to the surrounding difficult terrain, erratic winds, and the high density altitude. It is the close proximity to the high terrain that creates the kind of winds here at Samedan that are favorable to glider pilots. Heavy glider traffic is typical from May to September, and you should keep in mind that gliders always have landing priority, sort of like a sailboat having the right of way over a powerboat in nautical terms. Today we're going to be flying Carenado's newly released version of Piper Seneca V, which happens to be Piper's top-of-the-line six-place light piston twin. The PA-34 Seneca has been in continuous production since 1971. With a solid airframe and a host of refinements, today's highly evolved Piper Seneca offers what a lot of pilots would consider the ideal attributes for a personal airplane. Two engines for redundancy in power and systems, respectful performance, stable handling, ice protection, lots of room in a comfortable cabin, and the latest in avionics technology. Almost. The Seneca V, introduced in 1997, was a major upgrade over the Seneca IV, and it included a Garmin G600 system mated to a pair of Garmin GNS 430s. The latest version of the Seneca V, now offered by Piper, however, has been upgraded to the Garmin G1000 series glass cockpit. But alas, Carenado's version sports the G600. Therefore, we'll consider this an opportunity to explore the G600, which has many of the same features as the G1000, making it pretty easy to learn if you have previously flown the G1000 that comes with Carenado's Cessna 208B EX Grand Caravan, for example. As is common with many of Piper's aircraft, the Seneca has a stabilator as opposed to a conventional elevator. As far as I can tell, the main aerodynamic control advantage of the stabilator is that control forces increase as airspeed increases, making it more difficult to apply full deflection of the stabilator, thereby preventing excessive forces which could cause structural damage to the aircraft. The Seneca V has a pair of Continental turbocharged 220 horsepower fuel-injected 6-cylinder horizontally opposed engines with counter-rotating props, which means there is no critical engine in an engine-out emergency. The props are Macaulay 3-blade, constant speed, adjustable pitch, full feathering, and measure 76 inches in diameter. Turbocharging allows the engines to maintain the rated horsepower up to 19,500 feet. At 12,000 feet, the Seneca will cruise at 180 knots on 24 gallons per hour. Using a 75% power setting with no wind, the Seneca has a cruise range of 826 nautical miles, has a maximum takeoff weight of 4,750 pounds, a useful load of 1,331 pounds, and will carry 122 gallons of usable fuel. The base sticker price, if you should care to purchase one, comes in, are you ready? Just under $1 million at $972,400. But hold the phone. If you want air conditioning, you're going to have to come up with another $22,000. So, that's going to be our chariot that's going to take us to Courchevel today. So, if you're ready, let's hop in and let's go flying. Alrighty, let's get started. Our pre-flight has been completed. The weather has been checked. It looks generally favorable for our flight. We do have some broken clouds in the area, but the skies over Courchevel are clear. There is quite a bit of haze today, but I think we can work around that. Our flight plan is filed. Cabin doors are closed and latched. Seat belts are secured. Park and brake set. Yoke is unhid. Circuit breakers are all in. We'll just do a cursory check there. And let's cut on our master, battery master on, our left alternator on, our right alternator on. And we'll open up our throttles 1 inch, give or take. And propeller RPM in the full RPM position. Our mixture's at auto cutoff. Alternate air is off. Cowl flaps need to be opened up, so let's push those down. There we go. And fuel selectors are left is on, right is on. Fuel gauges, we need to check those, so let's look in here, and we have about 35 gallons in each wing tank. So that's about 70 gallons of fuel. That's plenty to get us there. And we need to cut on our beacon / strobe. Standby fuel pump. We're going to start our left engine first, so let's go ahead and cut that fuel pump on. Left mag's on. And I'm going to go ahead and announce clear prop. Let me say that a little bit louder. Clear prop! There we go. And let's just zoom in here. I want to keep an eye on this fuel flow for our left engine, and we're going to increase our mixture to rich. And I didn't see it move. What just happened? Let me make sure I did get the right fuel pump on. Left fuel pump is off. Left fuel pump is on. Let's make sure we got there. Let's go back in here and look at this again. Okay, fuel flow right now is 0. Still 0. That's odd. My throttles, did I bump them? Maybe that's my problem. There we go. Okay, so we're going to bring that up to full, get it to stabilize, and then bring it back down, not to shut it off, somewhere along in there. And just bump that throttle just a little bit, and actually closed it. Let's go ahead and hit our starter. And then we want to check our oil pressure and bring our mixture all the way up to rich. And the oil pressure has come up. So we cut that fuel pump off for the time being. And let's repeat the process for the right engine. Fuel pump. Mags are on. And let's check our fuel flow for the right engine right here. We should see it come up, and it does. So we'll bring this back down along in there, and let's hit that starter. And that's a good start. Let's just check that oil pressure. It's coming up, it's rising, and we'll bring the mixture on up, and we cut that fuel pump off now. And let's go ahead and get these nav lights on, and let's get the radio master on. Boot up the radios. We can go ahead and test our annunciator panel here. All the lights came on. Look at our voltmeter, 28 volts. And we can also check our alternators to see that we've got a charge. And we can take a quick look at our vacuum, and then we're in the green. Our vacuum pump's working, which will provide a source for our gyros. And let's just go in here and set up our Garmin G600. And first thing I want to do is set my track to be up. So I'll bring up the menu, go to orientation and track up, and press the cursor key. We'll go ahead and declutter this, and let's plug in. One thing I want to do is change this wind display too. Actually, I'd prefer, that's not what I want. This is what I want right here. Let's get that cursor up there, and let's come down here to wind. Let's bring up wind style number 2. Past it. There it is right there. And there's 2. That's what we're going to want. Go back to topo. And let's look over here and plug in our destination airport identifier, which is Lima Foxtrot Lima Juliet for Courchevel. We'll enter that, activate it, and we have a course with a heading of 243. So we'll go ahead and put that heading in, 243. And we're going to cruise today at an altitude of 14,500 feet. So we'll dial that in to our altitude select window. Went way past it. Okay. Are we going to get there? Yes, sometime today. There's 14,500. Great. And our CDI is set up on our GPS. Let's go ahead and set it up over here on GPS, so we'll track the right thing. So we've got Lima Foxtrot Lima Juliet in there, and actually we also need to, let's tune in our ATIS frequency for Samedan Airport. I really struggle with the pronunciation of this one airport for some reason. Samedan. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it sounds about right. So 136.60 is our ATIS frequency. There it is.
Samedan Airport information, Charlie.
She said Samedan.
Wind 348 at Niner. Visibility 10. Sky conditions, ceiling 3,500. Broken. Temperature Niner. Dew points -2. Altimeter 3012. Visual. Runway 3. Visual. Runway 3. Left. Visual. Runway 3. Right. Use. Landing and departing. Runway 3. Runway 3. Left. Runway 3. Right. VFR aircraft change direction.
Okay, they're using runway 3 and 3012 on the altimeter setting. We got all that. And our transponder, we're squawking 1200. And so we'll set that up when we get to the end of the runway. Our altimeter set, our altitude is set, heading bug is set, flight director is on, and our trim, let's get down here where we can see it, and we're in the neutral position. We want to be just a little bit nose up there, so that looks good. All right, and let's go ahead and get that taxi light on, and we'll taxi on out to the runway for departure. There's an ultralight. There's another twin. Orbix did a nice job with this airport. So we did not get that break off, but there we go. I knew I was adding some power and we should be rolling. Okay, so runway 3 is in use. I need to decide whether or not it's worth taxiing all the way down to that other end. There's our windsock, and we would have a tailwind taking off. I do have plenty of runway. There's no other traffic reported, and there's a big advantage to taking off to the southwest because that's the direction we're flying. And if we take off to the northeast, we can't make a turn for about 5 to 10 miles until we get enough altitude to clear these mountains, because we are way down in a valley, unless we can sneak through somewhere. And I'm just zooming in here. If we can sneak through one of these, which we could potentially do. So I think we'll do that, and we'll go ahead and go with the direction of traffic as if we had other airplanes to deal with, and we could. There could be some other airplanes. So we're just going to hang a right here on this taxiway. Taxi down to the end of runway 3, and we'll do a run up. Get over here on the center line. So this little, what it looks like a head-up display here on the windshield, this is actually heat for the windshield, and I can really use it to help me stay on the center line, because if I keep this lined up with the center, it pretty much keeps my nose wheel right on the center line, and that's where I try to keep it as much as I can. Alright, we'll just set our brake. And let's just go ahead and do a before takeoff check. Our parking brake is set. We're going to advance our throttles to 2,000 RPMs, and we'll go through our run-up check. There's 2,000. See where I can get where I can see the RPMs, and we want to just cut off our mags, watch the drop, make sure it doesn't have we don't have an excessive drop. I hardly see any drop. I'm sure there must be a minute amount. We'll check the right engine. All the mags seem to check out. Let's cycle our prop levers. There's a major amount of drop when we do that. And that's exercising the prop governor, letting that oil run through there, get things moving. Left engine, then our right engine. Okay, we'll just check our alternate air. Got a slight drop on that. Other alternate air, slight drop on that. Our cowl flaps are open, and let's just check our Alternators are charging. We got 28 volts indicated. And I think what we also will want to take a look at all of our instruments or engine instruments are in the green. Oil pressure's good on both engines. Cylinder head temperature's good on both engines. Fuel flow normal. Turbine inlet temperature in the green. Everything looks good with our engine. So we'll go ahead and idle back down to about 1,000 RPMs. Right there. And let's take a look at our flight controls. Free and correct. Everything's working. Ice protection, I'm going to go ahead and use our pitot heat. We'll see if we have any visible moisture. We may need some prop heat. Our stabilator trim, we have set that for takeoff, and our cowl flaps are open. Our alternate air is off. Our mixture is full rich. Props are full RPM. Transponder will set the altitude mode, and our flaps are 0, and we'll leave them there for right now. I think we've got more than enough runway, so we'll just do a no flap takeoff. And let's cut on our landing light, release our brake, and we are ready to go. I don't see any airplanes on the approach. Samedan traffic, Seneca, Papa Romeo, Victor, Juliet, Mike, I've just made that tail number up, is departing runway 0304 at Samedan. So we just made a little radio announcement there to any potential traffic that might be in the area, so they'll know. Keep an eye out for us. Airspeed's alive. 50 knots. 60. 70. And we'll rotate there. The gears coming up. About a 10-degree nose up attitude, and I'm going to reduce the power to 35 inches, and we'll bring the prop back to 2,500 RPMs. And I'm going to zoom in here and see if I can find us a way to, really going to try to keep us in this climb. See if I can get down in here and find us a way to sneak out of here. I think right there would be, I don't know how far up that is, zoomed in so tight. I know we couldn't have made that one, but there may be another opportunity up here. So we're just going to leave our cowl flaps open. We're going to keep our landing lights all on right now. We're going to keep our standby pumps on too. We are supposed to, according to the pilot operating handbook on this airplane, use the standby pumps when we have when we're cruising above 10,000 feet, which we are going to be today. So we are definitely flying in the opposite direction we need to. could find us a way to sneak out, but we'll just go ahead and climb up a little higher. I hate to make a turn and then get in a cloud, not be able to see a peak. Tell you what we can do. Let's bring our terrain warning over. Let's get that to regenerate. So there is definitely up ahead a clear area, but this will start to change colors when we have enough altitude, can make a turn. And if we don't change before we get there, then we will plan on turning up and flying up through this valley. And we'll surely have enough time then to gain what altitude we need to get up over these mountains. Just kind of hate to be flying in the wrong direction for too long. Got those 220 horsepower engines earning their keep right now. And I can tell you how we can gain some more power is we'll go ahead and start leaning this back. And that will make a difference. Just for right now, we'll lean them back up in there, and then we'll fine-tune them here in just a minute. And it looks like we can go ahead and start our turn. And because I see a way to escape out of here as we're climbing. We are entering in some clouds. Okay, it looks like we're getting above this stuff. So we can kind of keep our turn coming on around so we can get on course toward Courchevel. So we're going to go ahead and get our autopilot set up. There we are. Let's get turned the right way. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Did I not press heading mode? Yes, I did. Why is the airplane turning the opposite direction? Because this thing has a bug. That shouldn't be. Not at all. We're going the wrong way. There's something out of sync here. Which could ruin a perfectly good flight, but we'll go ahead and see if we can get on course anyway. I know we got to turn that direction. I'm just going to keep bringing the heading bug around. That just makes no sense that that would do that. Apparently it's just some kind of bug. Getting a few bumps up here. And actually, let's go ahead and use some oxygen since we're up above 12.5. We're going to be up here for a bit. And coming up on our cruise altitude. We'll go ahead and cut off our lights there. Leave our fuel pumps in the on position. We'll go ahead and close these cow flaps. Let's take a peep at that cylinder head temperature in the green. And let's work on our, while we're intercepting our course and looking at our wayward heading bug, we'll go ahead and lane these where we want to be is about 50 degrees rich at peak. I'm going to say that's peak. Yep. So I'm going to come back and drop it down about 50 degrees from there. Around 1600. And let's take a look at this one. We're just watching our needle rising. Still peaking. Ah, it's coming down. Long in there looks pretty good. Still on a course intercept here. We have leveled off. We'll go ahead and set cruise power. Actually meant to bring that back to 3500. I thought I did. I'm going to come back to 30 inches, 35 inches, come back to 30 inches. And let's set our prop up at 2400 RPMs. We're getting some bounces, bounced around up here a little bit. We have an alert, always. Okay, everything's looking good there. We should be on course here in just a minute. Next, we're clear of all the terrain. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our other map and zoom out. So we've got a bug here with this. Our heading bug is over here. Let's see if we can figure out how far off it is. Is it 90 degrees off? Let's look at this compass up here. We're showing a heading of about 210, and we're showing a heading here of about 210. The heading bug set on about 120. It's almost, well, it is 90 degrees out of sync here. Our course line's coming in, so I'm curious what's going to happen when we hit our nav mode. I'm going to just bring this over. Even here it's showing a heading of 146, but we're actually flying 225, so that's strange. But there's our course, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the nav and let's just see if it'll hold our course. If it does, then I feel like we can continue the flight, and we'll just have to compensate for it on our landing. But if it doesn't, and it's still turning, so that's not good. We're going to go back to heading mode. There's just something off with this autopilot. I've got it set on GPS. Our waypoint is Lima Foxtrot Lima Juliet, which is the identifier for our airport. And that's just going to make it difficult when we get there to navigate. More difficult. It's already difficult. It's going to make it more difficult to navigate through these mountains. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. And we'll just try to set us up we've got a tailwind right now. Great ground speed, 213 knots. Another alert, thank you. And so we will just keep an eye. This airport right here, Lima Sierra Zulu Lima, that is about where we want to start our descent into Courchevel. About 35 miles from Courchevel, we'll start descending. We've got to descend and lose about 7,000 feet of altitude. I am not going to sit here and bore you to death as we cruise along on this hazy day. We can see the mountains, but not very good because we got this big engine in our sight line, so it's hard to see. But we've got a great GPS. I'm going to correct this over a little bit. The wind's blowing that way. I don't want to get off course that way, so I'm going to just use the multifunction display and the primary flight display and try to get over the fact that the heading bug isn't coordinated. It's 90 degrees off, but we can deal with that. If that's the worst thing that happens on this flight, I'd say it'll be a success. Okay, so we are 130 miles away, and I'm going to brake right here, and when we get about 50 miles away or so, I will come back and then we'll descend into Courchevel. So I'll see you in a few minutes.